group. My name is April. I help altos gain confidence in their singing, specifically choir singing, through Facebook Lives like this one and other trainings and courses and helpful materials that I find. So super glad to have you here. And I also am super glad to be returning to this. So I had a baby last April. And so he's now 14 months old, and he started school last month, and I feel like a free woman. Those of you who are moms may be able to relate to sort of that first being able to drop him off and come home to a quiet house is such a treat. So I've been coming back to the things that I love, which are making music and teaching music, and that's why I'm here. So thank you very much for being here as well. I posted a survey in the group a few days ago asking which of 3 subjects you would most like to learn about, and the overwhelming winner was rhythm. So I've tentatively titled this, "The Rhythm is Gonna Get Ya." And we're going to start. I'm going to show you something that is available to you right now in the files section of our Facebook group. So this is a resource that you can download and print off today. And I want to show you how to get to it because sometimes we forget, or I forget personally, how to get to things on Facebook. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so here we are. You can see I'm in the Facebook group, and over on the, let's see, can you see? All right, so over on the left-hand side here is all of the things that are available to you in this group. And down here is a file section. So I'm going to click on files, and here we go. There's several different PDFs. And the first one is called Treble Clef Note Names. Maybe I should have renamed it because it actually has something more than that. So here are the treble clef note names, but then here is note and rest values. So whole note, dotted half note, dotted quarter note, and eighth note. And then underneath that are the corresponding rests. So that's what a whole rest looks like, a half rest, quarter rest, and eighth rest. I did not draw in a dotted quarter rest or a dotted half rest. They do exist, but so rare that it's not really, it isn't anything that I'd want to go over, especially not today. So the main notes that we're going to need to know rhythmically are a whole note, a half note, a quarter note, and eighth notes. So I have some musical examples as well that we're going to look at, but I thought I wanted to make you aware of this resource because it's something you can print off and use right now. Okay, so I also put the values here in the middle. So a whole note, you'll notice it does not have any other line or anything. It is literally just a whole. It looks like maybe a donut. And maybe that's just because it's morning over here and I'm ready for breakfast. So here we are, a whole note, and that gets 4 beats, or it lasts the whole measure. A dotted half note is 3 beats, and a half note is 2 beats. Dotted quarter note, 1.5. Quarter note, 1. Eighth note, half a beat. Now, I just want to note this half note looks a lot like the whole note, except this time it has a stem. So that's how you know it's a half note, which is it gets 2 beats. And then when you add the dot adds half of the value of the note. So a half note is 2, half of 2 is 1, and 2 plus 1 is 3. I know this is a little bit more like a math lesson than a music lesson, but you'll find math and music go hand in hand. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. All right, so here the half note is 2 beats. Now, the quarter note is 1 beat, and the quarter note is a filled in version of the half note. So a half note has the white space in the middle. The quarter note is all filled in and dark. The entire note is dark. So the quarter note gets 1. Now, if we put a dot next to it, it gets 1 and a half, because half of 1 is a half, and 1 plus a half is 1 and a half. And now all we've done to the quarter note is add a little flag, and now it's an eighth note, and it gets half a beat. So that is sort of a review of the main rhythms that you'll need to know. Let's look at what the rests look like, because those are equally important. So a whole rest looks like a hole in the ground. See the dark, it almost looks like a top hat, and the hat is upside down. And then the half rest looks like a hat, but it's right side up. The quarter rest is seriously just the weirdest squiggly line, and I'm sure there are prettier versions out there, but this was what I created. So it's a quarter rest, it's a squiggly line. We'll see some probably better looking ones in the musical examples. And then the eighth rest is it's just got a little, I almost want to say it looks like an asterisk. No, what am I trying to say? Apostrophe, that's what I wanted to say. It sort of looks like an apostrophe. So there you go. Those are our note and rest values. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen and go back to the video. Have I gone back to the video? Let's see. Yes. Oh, yes, I have. Okay. All right. So I let me see. Supposedly. Oh, look at that. Okay. Now I can see comments as they are posted. I figured out how to do that. Man, this is awesome. This, like I said, it's the first time I've gone live in a little while, so I'm enjoying sort of refamiliarizing myself with all of the tools that are available right now to those of us who want to teach from the comfort of our own home. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and now we're going to look at some actual music. And this is, I'm a piano teacher in addition to a singer and choral director and all of those other things. So these are examples from a piano, like a warm-up sight reading piano book, because I find them to be the sort of basic foundational things that we can use in our lessons. All right, you see there's 3 different musical examples here. The first one is called walking, second one is called hopping, and the third one, bouncing a ball with the right hand. Okay, so here you'll see in the very first measure is all quarter notes. Okay, so each of these is 1 beat. Here we are in the second measure. We have 2 quarter notes and a half note. Third measure is 4 quarter notes again. And then the last measure is a whole note. Okay? And then we'll go over what this means in a minute. But let's back up and look at the very, very first part of this line. So each piece of music is going to start with the staff, which are these 5 lines and 4 spaces. These are each a staff. And then the treble clef up here is where the alto line traditionally is written. And then the bass clef down here is normally where the male voices are singing. Tenor and bass voices usually use the bass clef. Soprano and alto voices use the treble clef. So treble clef on a staff, and then we have two numbers here that look like a fraction, 4 and 4. So this is our time signature. The top number 4 means there are 4 beats in a measure. The bottom number 4 means quarter note equals 1. So we know we're going to have 4 beats in a measure, and that is proven out by what we've just been over. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 beats, and then a measure line, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 for the half note, getting 2, and that's another measure. Here we are, 1, 2, 3, 4, and our whole note is 4 beats, so it's all by itself in the measure. And now we have a double bar line and 2 dots, and those 2 dots make this a repeat sign. So when you see this, it means go back to the beginning and repeat the whole thing. All right, so now let's go down to hopping. You'll notice that these are all the same kinds of notes we just saw in the first example, except for the quarter notes have little dots below them. Okay, so we learned about dotted quarter note and dotted half note when there was a dot beside the note, but these notes are still quarter notes. The dot below them is staccato, which means short and distinct. So I describe it a lot like popcorn popping, and that is also, I guess, why they're calling this hopping. So it would be just like, instead of a fluid singing line like da 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 da, this would be more like da 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 da. And the reason there's no staccato over the half note or the whole note is you really couldn't do anything very short and distinct if it was a held note. All right, last example here is bouncing a ball with the right hand. So you'll notice all of the line is in the treble clef. And here we have these little lines connecting a couple of the notes. And those are slurs. So that means to connect these two notes, make them a little bit smoother between them. And then you'll notice the second quarter note has a staccato marking. So it would be like da 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 da, like that. So we can talk more about slurs and ties in another lesson, but I feel like this has gone on for a little while, so I don't want to take up too much more time. Let's see. All right, yeah, it's been 15 minutes. Wow. All right, so this was a good first lesson, I would say. If you have further questions or you'd like me to expand on this in our next Monday lesson, I would love to do that. Certainly helps me to help you if I know what you're most confused about. And you'll notice in the comments I posted a link to the Alto Confidence course, which is a more expanded, more comprehensive, complete 6-week course on all of the above, all of the reading music, reading notes, reading rhythms, sight reading, singing different intervals, all of the things that you will benefit from if you're wanting to walk into choir this fall feeling like you could sing anything they put in front of you. I know that's a bold claim, but I really do feel that it is possible. And actually, I don't even have to say I feel like it's possible. I know it's possible because we've had several graduates who can attest to that. So